Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the RationalInvestor.com's Data Brief. No, that's not what we're doing. We're doing the broiler chicken. Actually, I don't have anything on the walls in my little new office here, so man, it sure is echoey. I wonder if the sound of the recording actually is a little bit twisted here. Got to put some pictures and some carpet down stuff. Anyway. As you can see, Brian, anybody hanging out in the lounge with me, only there's like 4 people here. Brian is officially the chick magnet right now. So he's hanging out with the chicks. Let's see. Hey, there's some people over there on the YouTube page. Today's Sunday. It's our public broadcast that we do, 27th of March here, coming into the end of the March. And, you know, the worst part about this is next Monday is supposed to be the big peak sort of anxiety event day. The Mars, Saturn conjunct with Earth. And I think also our moon is involved in this conjunct as well. So we've been sort of talking over the past few weeks about sort of the apex heading into this event. And I have to say, man, all these world leaders and stuff, they sure are acting like the just doofus humans that we are, eh? It's like we're just, if you don't learn from history, you're doomed to repeat it. So when the hell are we going to start learning from history? And I thought, stupid me, I thought we left all these totalitarian dictatorships and shit back last century. I thought that was something about the human past. We got it to the point where there was only about 3 or 4 totalitarian dictators left on the planet. We almost had the whole damn thing taken care of. And then these goddamn fuckers have all popped up all over this place now all of a sudden. Anyway, we did watch a really cool video that was shared in the lounge today about cycles. And you know, if you've listened to anything about Brian blabbing away, I'm obviously a pretty big fan of the whole cycle thinking. Everything just moves in circles. So I suppose there's some sort of totalitarian dictator cycle that we're not tuned into. But this was really cool. There was somebody shared on the site this morning. Not this. These are just the Q&A for the show today. And I heard that there's not really many questions. This week is all about the Willie and Williams percentage R oscillator and Brian's oscillation tool for price action in the market. So if I'm not mistaken, I think the question load was pretty light. I don't know whether I've answered all of these questions over the weeks, though. So by all means, if we do need to, oh, look at that. Oh, yeah, that's 30. So that's last week. So I think we did all this. But yeah, so in fact, look at that. There's not even a reference to this week. It's like people that, you know what, I don't even acknowledge this week exists. We're going to just skip right to next week. Anyway, so, you know, by all means, if you have any level 2ers or level 3ers who are watching this, and actually there's not really many people watching this video here today. It might be a pretty short episode if we don't need to do any follow-up. Mind you, the level 1ers are still working with Grim right now, I think. So I noticed Sharktoshi, man, Sharktoshi is such an awesome TA. Really filling in all the gaps. Somebody had a question about an old RSI tutorial I did on Coinigy, and Sharky had it just out of his hip pocket. So that was cool. I saw that you were helping out there today, Sharktoshi. What a great privilege to be working with all these people. I have to say, TRI is really becoming a force for positive in this world. And if anything, what happens here as this site develops over time is this sort of becomes like a little truth platform. So we go and see what the hell's going on in the world, and then we come back to TRI and we go, okay, what's really going on? And actually, one thing from my old website, my 1980s website. Anybody who's seen it, which is hilarious. Maybe I can show you it. It's so funny how I get to my old website. You have to go way back machine, and then in here I have to load up my old. I think this is it. I can't remember which one it is. Anyway, way back. Oh, there's so many of these things. Anyway, I think it's this one. Then I go the rationalinvestor.ca. That was my old Canadian website. There it is. So you can see I haven't worked on it. In fact, Stuart asked me to take the site down while we got this new website up and running. But one of the pieces that was missing, and I had one site member a few years ago help me build it out. But one thing that I used to do on a regular basis was a weekly commodity trend survey review. Basically every single week I would just simply outline whether the trend in the particular commodity asset was bullish or bearish, up or down, the duration, where the signals came from, the stops, and then any relevant harmonic pattern or GAN level that would be a target. So I was immensely pleased this past week when one of our site OGs said, "Hey, Brian, I'll take a run at that." And we did have a spreadsheet, a Google Sheet, but actually, what he's done here is he actually has gone and created a website. And so hopefully what ends up happening is we can just integrate this into the new site going forward. So we'll leave a little bit of work for Stuart. But the Google Sheet that I had was, let's see, where the hell is it? It's on here somewhere. Weekly commodity trend summary review. There it is. I had someone a couple of years ago help me almost get this up and running. We were really close, and then he just sort of disappeared. I think he built some algos and stuff for himself that just totally killed it. Anyway, what this spreadsheet does is it just simply asks where is an asset relative to its cycle. We all move on these 4-year cycles. All you crypto kids, you know this hopefully now pretty well. And then we just ask whether, relatively speaking, if it's near the bottom end of the range or the top end of the range, and then do we get a moving average cross to help frame the expectation going forward. And I used to do this on the commodities. Like I said, we imported this into the Google Sheets, our 21st century version. Like I said, there's my old 20th century, and everybody used to joke and go, "Oh my God, the neon, the colors are terrible." So, but anyway, this is my old website. This basically, look at that 2014 reference there. So it's really cool. This is sort of the brought it up, and basically 6s are buys and 1s and 2s are sells. So actually it looks like natural gas is spitting out a sell signal. That's interesting. Bullish on the moving average, sell on the, yeah, that would make sense because 50% of those probably a long way down. Anyway, so waiting, kind of hoping that he can get his head around this as well. Actually, if I'm not mistaken, I think he has created a new weekly trend survey matrix. I think he calls it a copy. And he has, let's see if I can show you. It's really cool. He's got now, and I'd like to see this develop over time. I was talking with our level 3 instructor, Zach, who is craving option screener information. There he is, John. Yeah, he's working on including the S&P 100 index as we speak. But he actually created this spreadsheet, copy of it. Let's see if I can find that for you. And he's starting to fill in, but I don't know where the hell it is. I showed you this website a second ago. Where is the, is that the spreadsheet? Oh, isn't that interesting? I didn't know it was a, that's a WordPress site that you're doing there too. So it's pretty easy to, here we go. Here's the doc, and this is, oh no. Oh, actually, yeah, I gave him another challenge, so we won't attack that challenge yet. Where is it? There it is. All right, so anyway, so he incorporated on my old website a couple pages that he's been working on. So now this will be cool. He has gone to the Canadian Venture Exchange and been able to literally mine the whole exchange for all our little penny stocks that meet our criteria based on that, what I showed you earlier, with a rating service here. So that's super cool. No sixes here. Mind you, there were one or two that actually, see, there's one. There's a 6. So we have to maybe update the color coding here. GLD, and actually I think I saw some of this like on his website. If we go BCIM. Yeah, there it is, GLD. So he does have it sorted here. I got to say, man, I mean, looking at this price chart, oh, Jesus. This is the one thing I can't figure out with TradingView is it's dumping in these symbols into the most recent chart that I've used off of this. I'm not quite sure. We got to figure out a way to fix that. So I got to go back to TradingView here. Hold on a second. Give me a minute. I got to find a chart that should be just a blank one. Yeah, maybe we'll do this one. Refresh that. All right. Then back to our website. And now let's see what happens when we click that. Hey, there it is. All right. So that's exactly what I want to see. I want to see stocks that are basically right on their knees. Good old reload zones. Where are we here? Reload zone. Nice friendly share count. And you can actually see the W trying to form. And if we get, if this does actually W out, the moving averages should turn back up. And should look for a 50% retracement. So sitting at 19 cents, good for 65 cents. That's not bad. 50% bounce. So I was super, super pleased to see John working away. And they're really simple. We keep it as simple as possible. The technical signaling system I just want him to use, and you can all do this yourself. I guess we'll do exponential. And where is a simple moving average? TRI moving averages. How about just a simple moving average? TRI moving averages. Moving average. There we go. Yeah. Okay. So really, really simple. Keep this as simple as possible. This gentleman here, we just did a 13 EMA weekly versus a 30 SMA weekly. It's nice and simple, just for your timing. So you can see how this thing's getting ready to turn here. It's kind of cool to see. Yeah, maybe we'll make that yellow. So you can see, look at that, on a weekly basis, it's trying to turn back up. And then if you go down to the daily chart and you go, oh yeah, well, look at that. You can see the W trying to come in. Isn't that cool? So I was exceedingly pleased to see this. Now, off of the website, off of the Google Sheet itself, I guess this isn't sorted, which is fine. But he's built this really cool little WordPress. And hopefully what we can do is just, have Stuart just sort of embed this on the site. But fucking hey, that is so cool. So PVT, let's go see what this one looks like. Yeah, same sort of thing. Basically, at the bottom end of the range, if anything, any level 3ers who've just finished their program, what kind of harmonic pattern does that look like? So you can see this one hasn't, actually, I beg your pardon. Yeah, the fast moving average has turned up. Do you want to wait for this thing to W out? I suppose you could. But I thought this was really cool how, let's see, does anybody know what pattern that is? So if this inside bar fires, which it did, that's actually a buy signal right there. And daily, yeah, something along those lines. Anyway, Cheryl, you know what pattern this is? Come on, Cheryl, you can tell me. Anyway, I just see your picture in the lamp, so you have to pick out you. Oh, you're in level 1. Oh, okay. Sorry to do that to you. Anyway, that's it's a harmonic. Yeah, but I don't know whether 58.9. Be interesting to see what Stephen would say harmonic wise. But it's just fascinating. I often see this happen. I would just simply say, look at if this thing trades up through here, then you know it's off to the races. But really interesting example. And what I like is that this is just very algorithmic. Our rule is we want to buy a W on the other side of the trend line. So you want to wait for some sort of W to come in here? That's fine. But really, really cool to see this all nice and tricked out here. So very, very impressive, John. That was super, super cool. The sad thing for Sjord is, now he's built this beast. We actually have to now go through and explain how all this crap works. So many moving parts now. But one thing that's kind of a bummer, and it sucks how Sjord has to do this, but every once in a while, this silly chat interface that we use, it goes and blows itself up. And so this last night, this silly rocket chat blew itself up and everything was sort of put on pause. So hang in there, Sjord. Gee whiz, he's got a lot on his plate. But anyway, it's nice to see the breadth indicator up and running. And actually, we did even have some cool weekly data that haven't seen too much weekly data coming in lately on the screener. So it's nice to see weekly key reversal information being printed. So we're going to continue to work on building all this out. And really the point is our marketing consultant was kind of like, okay, tell me what it is. Tell me what it's going to make a difference in my life and tell me how I buy it. So Josh and Chris and I think our big project now is we have to do things like put together tutorials on why is the breadth indicator so awesome and how does it help you in your day-to-day activity, try and understand the context of the market. So maybe that's probably a good place for us to start. What do you think, guys? Is it interesting how the currencies here are zero? I'm not quite sure what happened there. Currencies. Oh, it says 50. But does this market maybe look a little bit overbought? It's getting a little scary here. We got all the country funds all ramped up. We got fucking crypto all juiced up. Interesting how we got the same number on both short and medium. Don't see that every day. I'm not quite sure what's going on with the currencies here on the medium term, but short term, wow, they're all pointing up against the US dollar. Stock indexes, like I said, I want to take this category out and do it universe, but nonetheless, all the indexes, there's like only 3 of them in this category. So, but they're pointing up, and now it looks like the S&P 500, the whole bloody stock market is pointing up. This is dangerous. This to me looks like it's got trouble written all over it. And, we scroll down, you see the industrials. Here we are overbought, and they're rolling over a bit. You can see the transports, they're overbought, and they're rolling over a bit. Utilities have already rolled over. Do these bonds actually start to get happy again? We'll talk a little bit about bonds and stuff, but I do believe that we actually have to get used to a world of rising interest rates and interest rates constantly rising now for the next like 20, 30 years. So I'll get used to that. And if anything, I like the idea, and I've been trying to drive this home with tweets and stuff. Do you think that this sickness has really anything to do with what's going on domestically in China right now? I don't think so, to be honest with you. I think the public speakers in the United States of America who, are the banksters, and they're basically running the economy now for whatever it's worth. They have publicly said that if your debt to GDP ratio, especially if you're the hegemony currency of the world, if it gets up to about 130% debt to GDP, the whole system starts to collapse. On top of that, can you learn? I don't know whether you can or not. I mean, I've learned it, and I can tell you now, 2 17.5-year fear greed cycles, this has worked perfectly. There's no reason why I would change my thinking now. If anything, it reaffirms, and I should probably be writing books and trying to facilitate the change in this world that Jojo wants me to do. This is JP Morgan's line. Millionaires don't respect astrology, billionaires do. Probably nowadays, it's probably billionaires don't respect astrology because they're out trying to save their billionaire yachts from being seized by nations. But trillionaires do. And the banksters and all those people running the show from behind the scenes, and we never see Rothschilds, all those people, they do respect this shit. But every single person watching this video, every single one of you, should take that image right there in your screen and save this. That is the most significant image I could possibly show you about financial planning ever. Just keep in mind, our human lifespans are not that long. So you will go through, in my humble opinion, you will probably go through 3 of these events in your lifetime. The first time you go through one of these events, and keep in mind that nobody in the public is going to teach this shit. So all of you are so damn lucky that you actually have somebody to walk you through this stuff. Nobody fucking taught me. I remember sitting at my broker desk in 1998, and the guys all running around the floor of the New York Stock Exchange going, 18-year cycle, 18-year cycle, 18. But nobody would explain what was going on. The only explanation I got through that whole fucking .com cycle was Art Cashin one day sort of let the beans spill a little bit. And one day he was being interviewed on the floor. If you don't know who Art Cashin is, he's a longtime floor. He basically ran the floor for a couple different firms. And that's what ends up happening, right? Is you get so old timer at this, you start getting hired to actually be sort of the guy who runs the show. But you can see him. He's old as fucking dirt now. I mean, that's half the problem with our stupid fucking human species is we just get so old, we end up dying. And, of course, all these guys keep the secrets to themselves. Here's this crazy beamish guy trying to fucking spill all the beans. I'm teaching you guys about chaos theory. I'm sure there's plenty of guys on Wall Street that are like, oh, my God, somebody shut that fucking guy up. Trying to teach you about these Jupiter Saturn crosses, eh? Oh, Jesus, he's giving away all our secrets. But please understand, I mean, please learn this, people. What we just went through was historic. I mean, absolutely, you have to learn from this and don't get sucked into this trap. It's incredible how the public, the uneducated masses, they just get sucked into this shit. And I can tell you, man, a year or so ago, in fact, in 2018, because that was the end of my last cycle, and I remember I turned sort of, oh my God, everything's going to fall apart now. And I tell you, even if you guys here locally that sort of used to think, well, you know, there's Brian, he seems to have this stuff pretty tapped and stuff. And they see what's happened to the Vancouver real estate market over the past 4 or 5 years since 2018. Right now we're 2022, and they're like, Brian, what do you don't know what you're talking about. And what kills me is that this bubble just kept going and going and going. And the question was, what the hell was going to turn this crazy stupid nutso bubble? What was going to stop it? The answer, of course, is what you see on your screen here. Was this goddamn Jupiter Saturn fucking cross? Learn from this, people. You know, just try and put this into perspective, right? Let's say, I mean, the worst part about it is, you know, I mean, what does $2 million buy you these days? But I mean, look how ridiculous this is here in Vancouver. 2 million fucking Canadian dollars. Thank you, dear leader Justin fucking Castro. Not even $2.6 million. This is what I'm living in. This is where I'm gonna raise my family. But just think about this. I mean, first and foremost, is there anybody in the world that's gonna go and pay cash $2.6 million? That's just a Joe working schlub. Like, doesn't this look like sort of a middle class home? That's not a castle, is it? I mean, maybe I'm mistaken. Maybe that is the 21st century version of a castle, but I don't think it is. But let's just do some really, really simple math here. Fixer upper, yeah. But let's say you're a fucking millionaire and you can throw around money like there's no tomorrow. All right, I got to put 50% down, $1.2 million. That means I have to carry a mortgage of $1.2 million. I mean, what the fuck? Are you serious? 1.3 million, whatever. So, I mean, let's do the math here, people. This is insanity. What's going on here? And the only way you can explain this is a bubble. It's just as simple as that. And yet nobody will acknowledge that this is a bubble. I don't get it. But what was driving this? The answer, I think, was free money. As long as, you know, now I tried to explain this to Chris earlier. And I mean, look at what China's done here. Remember that I think that's the lot, Blueberry. That's the entire fucking lot. It's 5,300 square feet. Isn't that terrible? Anyway, there you go. Well said, Gold. Death pledge. Yeah. But just think about this in simplest terms. What was that number that I said where if you have your debt to GDP number go above this level, what was that number? Anyone? I'm trying to remember this, people. Thank you, Edward. 130%. 130%. What's their debt to GDP? And what's really scary about this is that if you actually go and Google this, you actually find that it's mostly being carried by the public. So what does that mean? That means that basically Joe's six-pack they're carrying like multiple sort of mortgages. Just crazy-ass fucking mortgages. And here's how the game works. Okay, as long as this chart is going from the upper left to the lower right, what does that mean? That means that interest rates, the cost to carry a debt, is falling. Now, remember, we're all supposed to be slaves, right? I mean, let's all remember that. We're all supposed to basically carry these massive debts and service them. I mean, that's how the game works here, right? So let's assume you have $1 million place and not 2.5 million, just 1 million. So we're going to live in a shitty place in Vancouver, not that really fancy schmancy place I showed you where all the millionaires are living. But let's say it's just $1 million place, or let's say you have $1 million mortgage. All right. So, at 4.5%, basically, what does that mean? That's a monthly payment, or an annual interest payment of on $1 million even. That's $45,000. And then, of course, as which is a lot of money. So, theoretically, you're supposed to have like your housing cost should not be more than 30%, 33% of your gross household annual income. So, if the mortgage is $1 million and it costs $45,000 a year just in interest to carry the property, which I don't think is advisable. But I can imagine some people go, well, if my income is 120, 130,000, then I can justify the 45,000 interest. What? I mean, are you ever going to pay off the principal? Well, no, we'll deal with that later on. But the point here is, and let's assume that metric is what wants to stay the same. And so somebody's saying in central Canada, that house would be about 225,000. Yeah, that's probably right, Blueberry. The question ultimately, though, is the rest of Canada, what's the temperature like in the middle of winter? Do people actually want to live in the rest of Canada outside of let's say from middle of November through to the middle of March, April? And I've made the argument, though, that global warming is probably the best thing that could ever happen to a country like Canada, because half of its territory, it's completely uninhabitable. Not half, probably 80% of Canada is completely uninhabitable for 4 or 5 months of the year. So come on, bring on that global warming. Anyway, back to our story. So you're going to pay $45,000 a year in interest for your $1 million property. And let's assume that that's acceptable. So what happens when interest rates fall? Well, remember, we're all slaves, and more importantly for the system is always thinking in its head, given the sort of average household incomes, and I think that's probably not too outlandish, where sort of a middle-class mother, middle-class father, two incomes in a house, and maybe your gross household income is 100 to 150,000. In Canada, that's probably somewhat accurate for a middle-class family. And I suppose for your $1 million lot, well, you should be sort of upper end income. So maybe your household income is 200,000 a year, right? Something like that. Anyway, point of the matter here is the system. If in this case, we'll use that 45,000 as sort of an acceptable number. The system wants that 45,000 a year payment, right? 33% of your income. So what happens? How does the system maintain that same payment if the trend in interest rates is falling? Because on that same $1 million loan down here at 2.5%, 2.75%, well, it's not going to be. If we go 2.5%, 2.75%, well, now on $1 million, that annual payment's like $27,000 a year, right? 25,000, whatever. But wait a minute, the system wants that $45,000. It wants 33% of your income. Do you guys see where I'm going with all this? Does this make sense that in the falling interest rate environment, which direction do prices go? They have no choice. And this is the fuel for the bubble. And this is why China, for the past 30 years, the interest rate trend has been slowly and consistently down, and that's exactly what was supposed to happen. And so as a result, people, of course, thinking, my real estate is getting more and more valuable, but they don't understand this is a zero-sum game to the banksters. So we just went through the big Jupiter-Saturn conjunct. What letter of the alphabet does that look like? I mean, this is half the shit I'm trying to teach you people. And if there's anybody over on YouTube that's getting any value, or you guys in the hangout here, for please sake, can you go and hit the like button, subscribe, ring Colleen's bell, all that kind of fun stuff. If anything, go into the comments and type 57 W's, please. All right. Edward says, I did it already. Get off my back. So anyway, the point here is, I mean, we all know what W's mean, right? I mean, don't we? Maybe some people over on YouTube like, I don't know, what does a W mean? And interestingly enough, even Chris mentioned, he goes, gee whiz, that's a good looking Wyckoff check of those lows there just back there last fall. All I'm going to say is it sure looks to me like that damn thing has changed. So, how do we say this? Is this rate negotiable? Is the rate of interest that you pay on this long-term mortgage, is it negotiable? And unfortunately, the answer is no. No, it's not really, Cheryl. And what's so sad is the stupid banksters, they just look at the ledger and they go, oh, this is the prevailing interest rate. So if this is not negotiable, then what does this mean? Since we knew, remember our $45,000 payment and how it was justifiable to raise the price of real estate as this was falling, just to make sure that slave payment once a month is always the same. What has to happen to real estate prices in this environment? And this is where it gets really scary. The answer is, to make sure that the slaves can maintain that same payment, the price of the asset has to fall. So hopefully you can see we have a major, major problem on our hands. It's interesting listening to all the talking heads on YouTube and stuff going on. There's one guy, somebody posted in the lounge this morning, which I thought was amusing. There's one guy literally on YouTube. He's going, rising interest rates is a good thing. It's like, uh-oh. Oh, God. Deflating the economy is a good thing because it'll bring down the inflation. And that's what we want, is we want to bring that inflation down. Oh, boy. Here we go. So, oh, goodness. Yeah, I guess we better get to that. I'll talk a little bit about that in a moment there, Stuart. So anyway, this is what I've been spending my time on this morning. And of course, Canada has been such a great destination for all this hot, stupid money. I mean, just think about this. Can you imagine? So somebody said China's foreign debt, including it's 2.5, corporate debt is 27, but the public owns so much debt here, and of course the public always loses money, right? So the public's just setting themselves up to get slammed here. But I do find it interesting that, oh, gee whiz, China's now going and literally locking down entire cities now over this sickness. How much of this has to do with the sickness, and how much does this have to do with actually their balance sheet is really sick? And, my question here is, are we going to now, I actually heard that around China, they're actually going and they're mandating the destruction of real estate developments. And it was interesting. I watched one gentleman a little while ago. He went into quite good detail about the internals of the Chinese economy right now. This guy right here, I thought he did a half decent job. Talks very, very quickly. So if you have to sit and just maybe even hit rewind button just to write everything that he's down, he did a pretty good job of sort of assessing the overall situation. And then the question ultimately here is, can you keep playing kick the can? Because I think that's what's been happening here over the past few years, is clearly this sort of economic dream of China growing at like double-digit annual growth. I mean, that's not sustainable. I don't know why people think that these kind of things are. At some point, it will have to digest. Of course, Brian's big on these 17.5-year fear greed cycles. I would say that the international economy just went through its 17.5-year growth cycle, and now it has to go through 17.5 year of its fear. But the United States will do very well because it's on the other side of this cycle. It doesn't surprise me that we're going to be hearing lots and lots and lots of talk about sort of them resetting a society. And what bothers me is that, especially like mafioso countries, they already know that they're toast. Anybody who's worth their weight of any kind of economic analysis over in China can read the writing on the walls. They have a major, major problem staring them in the face. And I don't see this getting any better. I mean, if anything, maybe we're probably going to have to go through a period of backfilling here where things calm down a little bit. You know, Mr. Putin and all his craziness over there in Eastern Europe has not helped the situation. And if anything, you know, if that just keeps going, it's just going to exacerbate this even more. So in a weird sort of way, you know, Vladdy was, I thought, Vladdy and Winnie. I think if anything, that would be a fun cartoon. Somebody should create The Adventures of Vladdy and Winnie. Couldn't that be hilarious? Or Winnie and Vladdy. I guess Winnie would be the main character and Vladdy would be like Tigger, right? Vladdy's sort of hopping along outside of Winnie, right? Going, hey, what do we do next? What do we do next? Right? Because wasn't Tigger Winnie the Pooh's sort of friend? So actually that kind of makes sense. That works well. And interestingly enough, right, they're actually going to call Vladdy a what tiger? Let's see if anybody can fill in the blanks. Because of his absolute ineptitude I mean, hell, he's a worse military commander than fucking Hitler. I mean, Hitler had no business in there telling the German high command how to run the fucking Eastern Front, and you saw what happened. It was a total disaster. Vladdy's the same thing. I mean, no offense to the good people of Russia. I've said this repeatedly. Russians got to love them. Russian, you know, totalitarian dictatorships and, you know, oligarchy and all that and KGB guys running the nation. I hate that shit, you know, me. And, of course, I'd be fucking in a gulag in a heartbeat. If this was Russia, I'd probably, the knock on the door is probably just around the corner with good old fucking Justin Castro. But hopefully we can hold on to our freedom of speech here in the West. But actually, I do kind of like that. So nobody knows where I was going with that. What kind of tiger would Vladdy be in our cartoon of Winnie and Vladdy? See if anybody can answer that. Do 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 do. Do, 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 do. No way, man. No. He'd be, and we only got one guess. I guess you guys aren't too impressed with this. Anyway, he'd be a paper tiger. Does anybody know what a paper tiger is? And if anything, that's the. Oh, you don't know what a paper tiger is? You never heard that expression? Paper tiger. Let's see what Google says a paper tiger is. Look at that. It even has a Chinese translation. Oh, there we are. Chinese phrase referring to something that appears threatening but is actually weak. You wouldn't say that he's a paper tiger? Sure, the Ukrainians are. Anyway, so, you know, just the point being that I got to say, as military campaigns go, Mr. Putin's going to go down in history as not running a very effective military campaign. Yeah, that's for damn sure. What's so tragic for the Ukrainian populace, as you can see, All he wants to do is just go in there and fucking take a bulldozer to the whole country. So sad. I know. Well. All right. So, point of the matter here is you are here to learn from this. This was historic. They should teach this shit in school. This is how significant this is. But the problem with this, what do you think the number one problem with this, why they don't teach this in the school system? What do you think the number one problem is? Why would they not teach this in the school system? Yeah, well, definitely, Ewald. They, them, those people, I think they want us to get sucked into the trap. I definitely think that. But what is it about this that maybe doesn't sit well with the human species? And then Andre says public schools are useless. Well, there's always that. Does it not make sense that this, in essence, sort of says that we're not really in charge of our future? That there are other things that are driving our existence that we don't really have control over. And remember, this is kind of like why the Egyptians will not dig into what the pyramids really are. And the Egyptians won't, like openly, reveal the secret rooms and tombs within the pyramids and what's underneath the paws of the Sphinx and all that kind of stuff. Because they don't want to be perceived as not knowing, not being in control, that there's something actually bigger going on here, that we're just sort of part of the equation. I think that's the number one reason why this is not taught in our society. And it would also give the populace the permission not to get so stressed out about life. You just go, it's just a cycle. No big deal. You just say, you know what? Wait 6 months, wait a year or two. Don't get sucked into this fucking insurrection shit going on. I mean, keep in mind, the insurrection happened right there. I mean, was that part of the whole damn thing? You tell me. I mean, come on. So, I as a student of the market, I learned this a long, long time ago. But I find it fascinating. I've been barking about this for 20 years and nobody seems to pay attention. And yet, damn, that worked absolutely perfectly. Absolutely perfect. You can't define that any better. I mean, I know it's kind of a waste of a half hour, 45 minutes of your time, but wow, I mean, that is everything about what I do. And now, hopefully, you understand how bubbles get formed. And then, unfortunately, does it not make sense that somebody who's still investing in real estate and thinking how the market acted for the past 20 years, this is not the same situation. This is something completely different. We have completely changed. This is, I'll tell you, when in the dot-com boom, this is exactly the same thing. But who can tell me, this is heading down, but think of this inversely heading straight up and constantly going up, 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 up. And anybody who's taken the course, and I want to see some answers over there on YouTube. Who was it that was made fun of when he said, my stock keeps going up, 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 up? Keep in mind, these are yields, so think of bonds, just keep going up, up, up in price. And he publicly came out and said, I'm selling everything. And fucking Princeton University professors laughed in his face on CNBC. You have to learn this, people. One person got the answer right, but it's the exact same thing, just the exact opposite. What was his name, though, Andre? Come on. For bonus points. You really want to score points with the Beamish, you got to know his name. None of you in the nobody here's answering. Come on, you. Jeez, people out there are crazy. Hey, Cole got it. That's good. Really? I go on and on and on and on. 50 people over there on YouTube page. Good 10, 15 people here in the lounge, and only 2 people are answering. That's disappointing. Anyway, John Ross. Go Google him. So this is the exact same thing. Somebody going and taking out a mortgage, especially like a variable rate mortgage, short term, that's adjustable. They're getting absolutely fucking decimated here. And they're probably going, what the hell changed? Something must have changed. Oh, I know. It's the sickness. We don't want to say the word because we don't want all the algorithms to go nuts. And you have to understand that it's not the sickness that's doing this. And again, this gets into, does the tail wag the dog or does the dog wag the tail? And the public, if anything, they almost want this sickness. And now this stupid idiot running around Eastern Europe murdering people. They want that story, and hey, for the sake of clarity, there are plenty of Ukrainians going around murdering people in the Donbass region of Eastern Ukraine 6-8 months ago. So we can't lay it all on Vladdy's shoulders, but I will say his solution to the problem was very ill thought out. So anyway, point of the matter here is it's historic. It happens once every 20 years, and you have to learn from this. If it's one thing that you take away from working with me, it's the significance of these damn planetary relationships and what they do to us as humans, and how it plays itself economically with like world history. And I got to tell you, just think about it this way. We know that the public owns most of this debt. We know that the public, this is Chinese, right? They've even said it's not government debt, it's not corporate debt, it's public debt. We know that there's stories about buildings that are basically half shells. People have bought real estate in China on this speculative bubble, and you can't even live in the places that they're buying. They're like no elevators. There's no electricity. Well, actually, that was a slightly different situation, Ewald. The more appropriate, and I don't know whether you're in the school program or not, but the more appropriate cycles that you should be paying attention to, and this one is 1940. This is exactly the same part of this cycle, and that goes back to this image. There. That's what we're doing right now, folks. Don't kid yourself. You know that at some point over the next few years, there's going to be some sort of Bretton Woods. We're going to peg currencies. We're going to either devalue or kick the US dollar out. Maybe we're going to put Bitcoin in there. Maybe we're going to have, environmental shit as, what do they call them? Carbon credits as the international currency. Who knows? But at some point in the not too distant future, we do have to go through our Bretton Woods event. And as soon as that happens, then I think we're off to the races, new cycle. But while we're still in this mess, I think the best way to actually look at this is I think we are literally in 1942 right now. And I mean, you go and look at 1942. Well, what was price action like? Was that a good time to be a speculator in the market? Did anything happen in world history in 1942? And oh, gee whiz, you happen to see some of the same similar things going on? I think so. So anyway, this is where I think the more appropriate part of this cycle. Yeah, well, and actually it's interesting. There's a Vedic astrologers. I love listening to those guys. Sanjay on the site, he points this stuff out. They actually think the big war, this is just sort of the prelude. And in a weird sort of way, I kind of agree that I think the big war actually comes in 2030. And I think the big war this go round is actually just the Korean War Part 2. Because technically Korea still really is at war. There has been no peace settlement actually signed there. And if you think about those 80-year cycles, that was, at 2030, 80 years prior is the Korean War. And I think the Korean War was actually supposed to be that big sort of shoot 'em up in Asia. I don't know how that's going to play out, but I wouldn't be surprised if over the next 5-10 years you actually start hearing about Japan starting to remilitarize. We got to sort of keep China in check, to try and make sure they don't invade Taiwan. And I wouldn't be surprised if over the next 5-10 years we actually build up to some sort of big fucking showdown there. And in fact, what I really like is a cool historical analogy is Russia right now and Putin is Mussolini and Italy. That's what I think the correlation is right now. Putin and what he's doing with Ukraine is the same as what Mussolini tried to do with Ethiopia. And how did it go in Ethiopia for Mussolini? Anybody a history buff here? Cheryl, how did Mussolini's adventure in Ethiopia go? Google's your history teacher. Does anybody know how Mussolini did in Ethiopia? Hint, hint, hint. It didn't go very well for the Italians. So, do you see the comparisons, Ewald? John, whatever your name is. Super coder. So, I see a lot of similarities. So, then that means that, and it's kind of cool when you do the Vedic guys, right? They go through all this. And of course, the Europeans, they hate this stuff, right? Hey, don't call me fucking Mussolini. I'm Vladdy. I'm the paper tiger. But Mussolini. So the parallels are, and I thought this was interesting. China is this go rounds Germany. Interesting. Don't know whether I buy that, but maybe. It'd be interesting to see if China actually starts supporting Russia, because then that would be sort of like almost like Ukraine is now turning into the Spanish Civil War, and Guernica. Guernica is actually a really cool history lesson, because I get the feeling that Ukraine is very, very similar to Spain and the Spanish Civil War. Feels very similar. And then, of course, 10 years after that, Second World War came about. So, gee whiz, if you don't learn from history, you're doomed to repeat it, eh? Sure feels like we might be repeating things here, folks. And then moving on that analogy, the Vedics, they call the United States is last cycle's Great Britain, which to a certain degree makes sense. I mean, the Americans now, they're so straddled with debt that they're in a weird sort of way, almost impotent, and the world's kind of looking for that alternative currency. I think as long as the British Empire was operating, sort of end of First World War, beginning of Second World War, you could sort of feel the tide was moving towards the Americans and moving sort of the financial system over to the U.S. I suppose also, too, the banksters just officially took over the U.S. currency in 1913. So that sort of aligns with that movement, and then 100 years of just decimating the value of the currency. So a lot of parallels there. Then what that means, and this is the thing that's I'm left sort of scratching my head, is who is this cycle's USA? And I wonder... so Cole's like Klaus. And I wonder, right? Because the Europeans, they are sort of the new kids on the block. I would imagine that the banksters, that Christine Lagarde, oh my God, isn't she awful? Trying to outlaw crypto, trying as desperately as they can to somehow fucking get on top of crypto. Because I'd tell you, if there's one saving grace for this world, and probably what ends up happening is the United States actually embraces crypto. I think that the ECB and the European and the Rothschilds and all them, they hate crypto with a passion. And, fucking Mayor McCheese, you ever seen that guy, the BIS guy? He's bigger than fucking 4 or 5 of us put together. He hates crypto with a passion. Because crypto's going to eat his lunch. And he wants his lunch, and he wants your lunch too. I don't buy that China can be that next. I just don't buy it. I see Blueberry there saying Ray Dalio. I showed you the China data, and the problem with the banksters is, just think about it in simplest terms. Is Winnie friendly with the banksters? I don't think so. They are a mafioso state. You saw what they did to Jack Ma. You saw Joey Diamond go over to Hong Kong and basically say, we, the banksters, we are going to outlast the CCP. So that in itself, to me, says, no, it can't be China. Because the banksters don't own the fucking currency. The only reason why the currency becomes the hegemony is because the bankers control it. We're going to move to Portugal and we're going to bury ourselves in the forest. See, I kind of like the idea of just going and burying myself in a country that nobody's interested in. It's completely off the map. Nobody gives a fuck. I kind of like that thinking. And I got to say, I would love to stay in Vancouver, but I showed you guys the price of real estate here. It's pathetic what's going on here. And literally for a quarter of that money, I can go and buy an 8-bedroom operating B&B. I can literally turn it into a TRI physical school where you come and just, book your spot in the B&B. And you stick around and you just trade with me in real time for like a week or two. Do you think that I could get 8 couples or 8 people to book those rooms and come and trade with me? Hell, we could probably have that place sold out for years down the road. And I could do that for $500,000 and basically set Liam up to have like the absolute perfect life. It sounds perfect to me. I wanted to do it in Hawaii, but Hawaii, it's a bit expensive. You can't do it for $500,000. Sorry, it just ain't gonna happen. So, yeah, weather's pretty nice. You tell me, is anybody in China know where the fuck Portugal is? So that's one reason why I like Portugal. Nobody knows where it is. It's not even on the map. It's just like nobody's interested. Oh, and by the way, if you book a spot, we'll throw in free tennis lessons for you as well. How's that for a deal? I get to go and learn how to trade, and I get free tennis license too. Right on. Wouldn't that be a good deal? I think that'd be a great deal. Anyway. So that's where Brian's head is right now. I tell you, man, I'd love to pull this off. If I could pull this off, that would be the reward from JoJo that I did good, and this was all worth it in the end. So let's see if we can pull that off. I don't know. I have to get in touch with Portuguese lawyers. Oh boy, I got a lot of work ahead of me. All right, so blah, blah, blah. I just can't stress enough. And oh, by the way, I'm not taking any mortgages. I'm not going to get sucked. You know what this is? This is, I hate to say it, this is your slavery rate. That is unequivocal slavery. And the way they're doing it, like to people in Vancouver, who have to spend $2 million for a house, and maybe they're a millionaire. Okay, fine. I can put 50% down. That means I still have to carry a $1.2 million mortgage. What the fuck? For that piece of shit house? Which means that these sons of bitches at 4.5% are getting paid, what, $45,000, $50,000 a year out of my pocket for nothing, cocksuckers. This is the banker's tax right there in your face. Sucks. Anyway, so the point of the matter here is you got to learn that. You have to learn from this. You have to. And if you don't, well, there's not really much I can do to help you. We just went through the biggest, hugest cyclical event. Welcome to the age of Aquarius. You know, there's something like 6 or 7 different cycles that all pivoted here. And one of the biggies was the money cycle. It just pivoted. So please learn from this, people. And actually, I even included the Wikipedia link there. So if you don't believe me, go and do the research. They post all of the dates of the Jupiter-Saturn crosses. So you can even do all of the research yourself. The only problem is the banksters, of course, they make this damn difficult to get this information. So when I saw that image the other day, I went and quickly grabbed that, and you should all grab that too and throw it in your notes. Anyway. Okay. Well, I don't know whether that was a constructive use of your time today, people, but I hope you enjoyed that. Like I said, having a lot of fun with site members, building out more screening tools. And this is going to make it really easy for us to make investment decisions going forward. On the old webpage, actually, this is the old one that I had. The only stock that was a buy recently was Hertz, CAR, C-A-R. I don't even know. Let's see where it is now. There it was. A week or two ago, it was a 6. So look, it's come down to a 5 now. Why? What happened? Oh, lo and behold, damn thing was rallied. Not quite sure what the hell that is. That's not exactly what I was looking for. Can we get a stock chart? Of course, I do all these there we go. So stock rallied appreciably here. So as a result, it was a buy there a while ago. And what was fascinating about this model was, and of course, I fought it like fucking dog because, of course, I'm like, well, you know, I want to get a date with Greta, so I'm going to warm up to us hating oil. And I remember when oil went to like minus $30 a barrel. Then it started to turn up, and I was like, oh, no, it's an old story. It's dirty. It's ugly. But gee whiz, these goddamn crude charts, they just rallied ridiculously. So you can see this is the USO monthly chart. It was spitting out buy signals down here. And I mean, look at that W. If you'd bought that W at 31, you would sell half on a double here at 60, and you'd be sitting on free oil right now. So go figure, right? Man, that was a hell of a buy. But I remember in months gone by, this was one of the only parts of the market that was actually a buy. And interestingly enough, now you can see these markets, they've gotten so frothy that they're actually starting to threaten to set up sell signals. So on this, 6 is a buy, 5 is like a really, really good looking idea. 4 and 3s, they're meh. So you see meh, waiting for buy, waiting for sell, waiting for buy, meh. So anyway, I tried to get, you got to do the meh thing on your webpage here, John. All right, you got to have the meh on here. It makes life fun. Anyway, he's got the overall score here. And so it's interesting. He just threw up, I guess he threw up the transports, utilities, the Dow 30. And he's also got the S&P 100. Well, that's sick. But you can see almost everything is a meh. I don't see any buys here, do you? Do you see any 6s? No. Probably some that are starting, like some of these tech stocks are actually starting to get to the point where they could be sells pretty soon. Interesting how Tesla comes up for waiting for a sell there. Google, something like this. Yeah, I mean, look at that. There's no way in hell I should be even thinking about buying something like that. If anything, right, you can see the weekly moving average crossed over bearish. But wow, is that ever risky? Holy free holies. So very dangerous. There was a cute little spread trade. Oh, that was on Tesla, wasn't it? So actually be interesting to see what that. So I saw a Tesla here. Not shorts yet. 2 is sort of waiting for sell. I think probably if I was this makes sense because we did have a spread trade that popped up down here on this key reversal. I think this thing's going to rally back up into the top end of his range. But once that rally is done, then what? Ugh. So again, investing, I can't buy that, right? What I want to invest in is I want to invest in names that look the exact opposite. Like this one was spitting up buys. Well, I guess, still bullish. So I guess we got a bit of a buy in there. But I think the real buys were like down here. You can see when it was just nice and beautifully bullish down here. Anyway, I remember that one that went a little bit crazy on one of those meme kind of plays last year. So. Okay, enough talking about that stuff for today. My apologies, everybody. Kind of funny rant. I didn't know what to really talk to you guys about today, so I just I don't want to say that. I just sort of let my my tongue wag, and here we are talking about Art Cashin. Actually, I even tweeted out in my Twitter feed. I even tweeted out the day that he did make that reference to the 18-year cycles. So let's see. Did anybody ask any questions? No, it doesn't look like it. I think this is old, right? Yeah. Yeah, so I don't need to worry about that. All right, well, no questions. So I guess Grim's doing a fantastic job teaching them. I'm going to have to just basically take that. I don't see anything here. So, no questions, no questions. That's a good sign, I suppose. Okay, we talked a little bit about that craziness. I thought it was interesting when I was looking at, I did a bit of a CanSlim screen here. Some interesting names came up, and I noticed that on John's spreadsheet, these names are coming in here again. It's an interesting one. This guy was in the blockchain space, if I'm not mistaken. 14 million out, 21% owned by insiders. 61% EPS growth this year, and quarterly EPS growth 71%. That's pretty sexy. Price to cash 1.7, price to book 0.79, price to sales. So they're not selling anything here right now. So if these guys can actually turn a profit, they'll probably have to do a financing, try and keep the lights on. They're losing money right now. But because the share count's so low, they can. But I'm seeing a lot of names that are starting to look like this. I wanted to show you the weekly chart. I don't know where that is. How do you get to the weekly chart? Can't remember how you do that. Oh, here we are, weekly. I don't know. Any money to be made on something like that? I mean, we might be a bit early. Yeah, probably a bit early. We can start actually getting some W's here. There should be this kind of rally down the road. Even if it just comes back to just tag these candle body highs, that's $3.50, 75 cents. This is this is kind of like the blockchain kind of stuff. So keep your eyes peeled. I don't think it's here just yet, but I definitely think that there is some money to be made on these. I think it happens more like the second half of the year. We have to get through this first half. And I remember Powell himself even saying that he expected the worst year-over-year inflation numbers are like May, June, July this year. Then once we get by that, then the comparisons actually start to get a little easier. So I do see that, again, we've also been talking lots about the decennial report on the page way back when. So that also suggests maybe sort of, don't be too aggressive. It feels as though the market got bid up there. I'm worried that, of course, all of our breadth here, everything's all getting stupidly overbought here. That's got trouble written all over it. the stock indexes, like there's the ETFs, they're overbought. There's the Dow, it's overbought. There's the transports. You can go through. Actually, look at that. Even Canada's even breaking down here a little bit. European stocks are overbought. There's the S&P 500 officially overbought. And oh, by the way, crypto is overbought. We now are officially overbought here. So I don't know how this is going to play out. I mean, I don't like the idea of getting into the business of predicting the future. If you are going to trade trend continuation trades on the corn, you better obey stops. You better be very, very crisp with what you're doing. I even put out sort of messages earlier today that I like the idea that this is just this massive trading range. Now, what usually happens with these is you get like a little run. Obviously, that's a big liquidity pool up in there. Also there as well. We might get like a pop against that level, and then it backs off. If anything, hats off to people that are trading trend continuation trades and just keep hunting long setups as this thing works its way higher. There's no real top in place here yet. And the message that I just pointed out recently was, we've been going sideways now for 52 hours. Oh my goodness. Holy stress central. I also don't like the fact that we're moving up here quietly through Sunday. I put out a tweet, well, maybe just buy on a stop through a break there, but I wonder whether they go up here and then dump. But, that's a trader's life. I mean, you got to get used to that. If you trade setups, you have to understand that you might be stopped out. The way I sort of looked at this and what I was telling people on the site earlier is I kind of like just this recent range. I like this as a narrow sideways channel. And there is this trend line off of these highs here. Although I would like that to be a little crisper. Thank you very much. What happened here? Too many lines, eh? There, that should work. And then that there. There we go. Lock that in place. All right. So you can see how the market is fighting at this horizontal support and resistance levels, like that one there. There's also another one up there. And then also this potential trend line. It's a potential market structure trend line, not an active one. So market ran up to this. We always say don't take a trade at these trend lines or you're asking for trouble. Came in, put in a little double bottom here, and you can see it's just slowly grinding its way higher here. Buy on, stop through the top there. That's a bit risky, but it is a really simple trade. This is what's called a narrow sideways channel. And you're just going to buy the break, and your stop's going to be below these lows. And looking at this, right, you got this 1 kilo right off of that trend line. I think that's a pretty good support line in the short term. Then you got that one, you got that one, you got that one. So technically I got 1, 2, 3, 4 kilos to defend my long if I did buy that breakout. It's okay. I mean, what usually happens with narrow sideways channels is, come on, you. Okay, there we go. Usually what will happen is if this is and like I said, with crypto, this could be a little suspicious. You might find that they go up and, right? Most liquid markets, if we break out through the top here, actually what ends up happening is on Wyckoff checks of this breakout, you see buying interest come in and it checks and continues higher. It's live by the sword, die by the sword. I actually think, though, that the trade is really off of here. Because what I noticed here over the past few days, right, and, Josh, he's been pointing this out. If you just follow the algo signals, you got some great profits. But I noticed that this is what I think is called the market stair-stepping its way higher. So notice, like, we have this consolidation range, right? Bottom end of the range, top end of the range, nice W. So we got a good-looking floor to work with. Market pulls back. Do we do 33? Yes. Okay, so this is a legit consolidation. Do we go beyond 66? No. In fact, we held this high to low trend line. So that's kind of cool. And then notice after this dump, 1 low, 2 lows, 3. In fact, 3 lows is there, 4 lows. There's a lot of reasons to justify buying. Maybe you even said something like, well, I've got this 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Give me a W on the other side. There's a W there. Here's even another W. There's the bot entry level. Just get me long, man. I want to get long. Anyway, boom, up we go. Pull back. Never did come back to entry level. And probably this is a good example of that Wyckoff check. Up we go, move stop to trailing, and boom, you hit your AOC bot objective target. Merry Christmas. And so the reason why I think that this is actually pretty intentional is notice that all the pros, they're taking profits in here. Who's buying right here? Now it's the public, and they're FOMO buying. That's what they do. It's just normal. So the pros are actually hopping off here, and they're giving basically those coins to the public who's panic buying. And then the pros are kind of like, well, if this is a bull, let's let this huge move consolidate itself and start showing me higher highs and higher lows, and I can get back in. And I find it fascinating that after this consolidation, there's where they got out, 4, 4, 5, 8, 9. Let's call it, 44, 600 area, somewhere in that area. Lo and behold, look exactly where the next bot level set up. 1 low, 2 lows, 3 lows, breakout, pull back, another low. I mean, if that's not setting up a level, I don't know what is. And it's basically off of exactly the same level. So it's sort of like they run the market up, ching, 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 ring the register, market's overbought. If it's going to dump and somebody says something stupid, it's ready to dump. All right, just consolidate. All right, here we go. Back on the long side. Everybody was told, get out of the pool. All right. Of course, the noobs, they're jumping in. Then, all right, everything's fine. All right, everybody back into the pool. And here we go. And so this target here, 46.550, we'll call it, somewhere up in that area. I like that. That's not bad. Also, too, and I got it, hats off, a site member, John, who I think is coming along exceptionally well as a trader. I think he gets it. And he's living the trader's life now. So congratulations, John. He pointed out this Ethereum bot a few days ago. Again, same logic, big run up. 33, but no more than 66. All right, taking the fluff out of the market. That's fine. Show me 3 higher lows, 1 low. Look at this pullback here. Another low, all higher lows. Then there's the bot entry level, 25 rallied up, even pulled back. Look at this fight right in here. But right off of this level, he's like, well, I've got my 3 higher lows. I got to go long. Yeah, this is what do I want to say? Paul. Did I say John? I meant Paul. Or I think John Paul, maybe. I know he was tweeting this out. And there was one guy who kind of like trolled our site years ago, and he never really learned any of the concepts. And for some reason, he calls himself a trader, although I think he just trades right on his opinion. Which I do not think is professional, and it's just really bad form. But this gentleman, Paul, what did I say? Did I say John? Sorry, I meant Paul. I think because he's got a J in there, I think he goes by Paul John or John Paul. Anyway, my apologies. Paul, he's doing really, really well. I like his attitude. And if anything, he put out a tweet the other day, and I even was like, damn, that's cool. Because you want to see what a trader's life is? I don't know where the hell it is. I thought actually it was the original to this. I'm sure it was. How do I go back there? No. Oh, well. Anyway, he put out a here. I think this is, yeah. So this is the Ethereum trade before the thing set up. And this is the most important thing you must learn as a professional trader. I mean, let's call a spade here. I mean, let's make this really, really simple, people. Hit the like button, subscribe, ring Colleen's bell, put a comment in there. Brian, you're awesome, or Brian, you suck, horsecocks. I don't care. Just do whatever you got to do to make the Google algorithm happy. And we also, David Eisner wants us to start doing little 5-minute clips. So, Chris, your job here is, what 5-minute clip are you going to try and take out of this today? Good luck. Excuse me. Anyway, so we're not even done yet. Yeah. Is this a guarantee? You see the image on the screen. Is this a guarantee that you're going to make money from trading? And the answer is really, really simple. I suppose if Paul puts a tweet out that it's not guaranteed, but geez, it's awfully high percentage. The answer is an unequivocal no. There is no guarantees to any of this. None at all. You just don't know. The most important thing in this game is you have to set yourself up that if you're going to take a bet and you are proved correct, that your pay is commensurately higher. Commensurately? I don't think that's the right word. Appropriately higher than the amount of risk that you have taken. That is the key to winning at this game. You have no way of knowing what the fuck is going to happen in this world. And I hate how I have to keep reminding people, you just don't know. And we are not in the business of predicting the future. Drives me nuts. Anyway, and my response to this image was, what I like is setup is a setup. I don't know what's going to happen. Hit the level, live with the results. If you can take that approach to this, the earnings are limitless because you don't know what the fuck's going to happen here. If you take this trade, maybe you sell like 3/4 of this here, move your stop to scratch on the remaining, and this goddamn thing might go up more than the price of Bitcoin. You just don't know. But you have to put yourself in a position to participate. And then conversely, if the market does break down and we go through this, you have to have the professionalism to say, I was wrong. Just get me the hell out of there. Can you do that? I don't know. I can't answer that question for you. An easy sort of lower risk way of doing this, and actually I just heard that the CME, I think now, is launching exchange cleared micro contracts on Ethereum and Bitcoin for options. But an easy way you could take this trade without really getting too stressed is you just go buy a call option or maybe buy a couple call options. Maximum risk on the call option is the purchase price. And that way you know exactly how much you're going to lose if your idea doesn't work. And of course, call options, earnings potential is limitless. Maybe this turns into like that Avis car stock. You don't know, like GameStop. You don't know. So anyway, I was so proud of Paul with the way that he wrote up here, just over the results. Now, what I said in response was, I love how you are thinking, but just understand it could go either way. You just don't know in this world. But I did find it interesting that through all of this, the momentum indicators did start rolling over, and you can see how there's one high, a second high. We're going through a third high. So the question ultimately was this going to break down through this sort of 31.11 area, maybe 31.10, whatever you want to call it? Do we get M's on other sides of trend lines? It could go either way. You could have seen a bearish setup develop here, and bear traders could have made money. And in this case, Paul would have been stopped out. So fucking what? Don't have an opinion. Just trade your setups. So turns out in this case, I thought it was fascinating when you actually reviewed what ultimately ended up happening was, where did I have it? Yeah, here. Notice one high. We talked about this a moment ago. Two highs and no follow through. The market just did not want to go down below there. So you could have looked at this, even at this point, and said, that Paul guy, he's damn sexy. So that's an inverted head and shoulders too, right off of his bot level. I'm going to join him. Fuck it. Awesome. Away you go. And, now at this point here, you're like, well, move stop to scratch level has been hit. So I'm going to move my stop now down to this level and I don't get hurt. And I thought it was fascinating. When I drew this up, I didn't know what was going to happen. Well, normally what I would do is draw an uptrend line off of these lows. And if this thing emmed out on the other side of that trend line, I would have said, well, this is a bear. It's going to head down. We should go short. But it just never came in. And sure enough, Paul was rewarded at this point now. And this is, for bot traders, this is in my opinion, this is the best point to hit. Because at this point here, then you can go, okay, phew, I can breathe now. Worst case scenario, this thing craps out, comes back down to my entry level, and I just walk away. So what? Scratch trade, next plus in 10 minutes. My hunch is this thing looks like it's pointing higher here. I mean, I don't know what it looks like now, but that looks like it wants to perform. Oh, yeah, okay, so here we are in real time. So ran up, hit the move stop to scratch level. Interesting anecdote on a trader's life too, because you can see there's a bit of an M that came in here. There was probably some people that said, hey, an M, I'm going to short that. Because this moved beyond 66% of this move, I couldn't consider this a bearish bot anymore. In fact, I would just simply say this is no longer on the table. So there's your situation. Move stop to scratch level's been hit on his long setup. This is Ethereum. Really, I would even say, and even Scott Carney, he often says in his lectures, maybe the best thing to do is just wait for a structural fail through this primary trend line. For me, as it is, that a tag of the 25 would be a punch through that uptrend line. So if anything, that's probably a good level to work with. If we go and break through these lows, then what that probably means is that we have sort of like a megaphone kind of situation where this could turn into something like there to there and there to there. So you just don't know how deep this goes. I mean, we might just puke right out here. But anyway, the point I'm just trying to make here is as it stands right now for Paul on his bot, he's just sitting there, move stop to scratch and just twiddling his thumbs. You just don't know. It's a trader's life. Very proud of you, Paul, for just sticking to your guns and just trading your trade setups. Very, very, very pro. As I said, with Bitcoin, if you were taking the trader sort of approach, lower time frames, I think you're long from 44,665 area. And like I said, it's basically just where you hopped out, you hop right back in. Move stop to scratch 45,292 area. I don't see any reason why we can't pop up here. But like I said, based off of the narrow sideways channel that I did on those big daily charts, that's off of that level there. So yeah, let's do a horizontal line. Off of that level there and that level there. So very simply put, and it's interesting how we do have a trend line here. I'm not sure what this is off of. Interesting. It's a bit of a megaphone line. Boobity boo. Don't know how relevant that is, but I think that was actually, I was measuring a megaphone off of here. So interesting. 1, 2, went all the way up through there, lost that, came all the way back, kissed it from the other side. Holy high to low trend line, Batman. So I don't mind the idea actually of us just riding along this trend line for a bit. That looks like obviously the market has a little bit of validity off of that level. Anyway, I guess what I would just simply say here is, remember I said the buy on stop is going to be through this level here. I could very easily see move stop to scratch here. I could very easily see this pop. Be quick, because the buy on stop, guys, and keep in mind, this is a liquidity pool, eh? We got that high there. We got that high there. Because we're so close to these highs, unless we actually go and M out, but I don't see any M's here. This thing's got to break here. If that doesn't break here and we keep going, I don't see any reason why we can't go after these highs. These are just big, fat, juicy liquidity pools up here. So my hunch is we're going to pop our way up top here. But once that event has happened, once they've gone through those liquidity pools, be careful here, right? You know, that sort of buy on stop kind of idea. If we do jump up top here, I would be very, very quick to go and move my stop to the old breakout level, or maybe just a hair below it. And so then that way, if we do a Wyckoff check and we lose that breakout level, you're not trapped, you know. So if you're long, you know, obviously move stop to scratch. That's going to happen here for the botters. If this thing pulls back, they're gone. For the people that buy on stop and are going to trade this narrow sideways channel, you're going to have to take a bit more risk. You got to buy this level right there, but it means you're risking against all these lows here. And really, the way I look at this is I think you got to almost program that this is a 2-to-1 trade. And you just get in, get out, no bickering. So there's the entry on buy on stop. There's the risk. It's about $1,000. So that means you got to have at least $2,000 reward to justify participating. If that seems a little bit much for you, then maybe you just leave the buy on stop trade alone. I think what I also see here too is we probably could go boobity boo. I don't know whether that's beyond 33 though. Bot setup. So it's right there. That's awfully close. But boobity boo, that's going to be tough to see. Boobity shmoo. Hey, there you go. All right. So in essence, buying this breakout here, it's the 2-to-1 of this entire bot setup. So if anything, it'd probably be better to be long off of the breakout level here, not the high there, and get your 3-to-1 on the trade. But nonetheless, if you bought on a stop, narrow sideways channel, your stop below here, if you get that pop, right, even 50%, 2/3 of the trade, I think you move your stop to scratch. Don't play around with this, because I could very easily see it go up. It's a fuck you. They went after the liquidity, and then the thing just craps right out. Why do I say that? There's a dangerous fractal at work here. We've come an awful long way. I mean, you can't say that this is cheap. It's just been grinding its way higher. At some point, we're going to roll over here. And if you believe that this is a fractal, that's this billiard ball kind of thinking, then, you know, that's sort of like my bow tie. You can see down, up, down, consolidation. Well, we're going to do the same thing on the other side now. So up, we didn't really get this pullback. All it was this shallow move here. It wasn't nearly as big as the original dump here. But nonetheless, rally up. So that corresponds with this. And then the question here is, and this is what I was tweeting about earlier, is once you get to sort of this side part of the fractal, the market has to make a decision. Am I going to continue this range trades pattern, which is basically the bow tie? And you can see if we just follow the fractal, we should come right back down to the bottom of the bow tie here, right back down into reload long zones, all the range traders. That's what they want to see. But sometimes, and this is, I mean, it's kind of convoluted. It's tough to see. My apologies if this just looks like a mess. But sometimes what I've noticed is that when you get to the end of this and we're expecting this move, the fractal reverses. And this part, which would take us back down to the bottom, it actually flips and we become a new trending market state, and the rest of this energy is released actually to the upside. So that's all this is this is just this action just reversed. So like you see, there is that price pattern, I think. Nope, actually, that's the other way around. Sorry. Yeah. So there is that price action. But instead of the fractal playing out this way, what I'm saying is the fractal energy will be released, but it's going to be released the exact opposite. It's actually going to be released to the upside, which creates that trending market state. So this is a really important juncture right here. Hugely important juncture. One thing that bothers me a little bit about where we are right now is if we look at the entire crypto market, that's this breadth concept. You know, if how do I say this? Let's say there is I'd say the other way around. You won't. Let's say there is a pool of 100 crypto kids out there. Hit the like button, subscribe, ring Colleen's bell, post a comment, make the Google Analytics happy, please. But let's say there is 100 crypto kids out there. And down here, of course, they all sold. Well, crypto's going to zero, man. It's the end. It's over. But the market, right? This is the job of the market. Wait, let's see if you guys can finish this expression. This is the market climbing the wall of what? How does that expression go? Climbing the wall of what? Oh, you guys in here got it right. I don't know whether you guys over on YouTube know what this expression is, but every market does it. You know, our 100 crypto kids, everybody sold. So do they want to see the market go up? Friday has a futures expiry too? Oh, interesting. Keep in mind, there's lots of futures and forwards expiring in crypto a lot. So, but March, oh yeah, I guess so, eh? Yeah, that should have a pretty big effect, Negria. Oh, that's an interesting name. I don't know how to pronounce your name. I hope I spelled that right. Worry! Hey, you guys got it right over there. So, you know, we have our 100 crypto kids, and they all sold, right? Crypto's a scam. It's going to zero, fuckers. Now it's the job of the market to get you all bullish again. So does it make sense that this was the process of getting you all to buy? Oh, no, it's a bull. I'm going to make lots of money. I'll go back in. What the hell? Let's take another shot. But what do you think? Do you think of those 100 kids, about what percentage of them have bought now? I'd say a pretty damn high percentage. And the worst part about it is when the indicator's up here, it's now the job of the market to get you all to sell. And it just goes back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So seeing an image like this is a little bit concerning. It means there's been quite a bit of buying recently. Now, this can stay overbought. They call it embedded, and it's actually one of the strongest technical signals that you can get in the market. But does it really make for a good new trade? New money coming in? I'd be leery. I think there was some fantastic bottoms that came in a week or two ago. In fact, somebody even mentioned one before we got going here, and I think it's a pretty good analogy of this market. And that is my old buddy Digi. Where's Digi? Digi. So I put out tweets recently saying, hey, Digi's looking pretty darn attractive. I don't know whether you saw them, but I put out messages. I don't know. Let's see if you guys over on YouTube can jump through hoops. What letter of the alphabet does this look like? Down, up, down, breakout. We're all going to go back to grade 3 English. What letter of the alphabet is that? Look at that motherfucker go. Jesus Christ. And do you see? You should be able to, Cheryl, you should be able to look at this chart. In fact, I'll make it nice and easy for everybody. Let's put a horizontal line right off that level. Now, who can tell me, where should you be long this name? It's pretty easy. Don't overthink this. Thank you, Adam. I love hanging out with Adam in the day trader room. He's coming along really nicely. I like your attitude, Adam. Got a good spirit. I can feel your spirit from the other side of the other continent. I can literally feel it. Nobody's going to tell me what price I should pay for this thing? It's really simple. Don't overthink this, people. Yeah, look at that. It's yeah. Ewald, he just gave me his 2 cents because that's exactly how much he wants to pay for this. If Ewald's giving you his 3 cents, I don't want your 3 cents. I just want your 2 cents. Yeah, it's really simple. How would you be feeling right now had you bought at 2 cents? I think you'd be feeling pretty good, wouldn't you? Awesome, Adam. It's I love hanging with you, dude. So, but are we at 2 cents right now? Is that a W? What's the expression that we use to describe the person that is buying right now? Very good. This is the absolute textbook definition of FOMO. The people that are paying, sad thing is, of course, a lot of people that are buying this stuff, they don't even look at price charts. They don't even understand half of the shit that I'm saying here. But does it not make sense that people are loading up their quote screen and they're going, 31% up on the day. Oh my God, that thing's going to the moon. I got to get in now. I don't know. Does that make any sense what I just said there? The funny thing is that this may not stop here. In fact, who can tell me? We have a couple really cool tools on the website and stuff we've been using recently. What's the word that I'm thinking about that'll actually probably give us a pretty good hint as to where this thing's going? Chaos. That's one great way of saying it. How about fog and bomb, which of course is a lot of typing. So we can do things like this and go boom. Oh, well, that's a 4669. Mr. Foggenbaum actually says we should probably expect some resistance there. And of course, the public is coming in and buying there. What are you doing, you knuckleheads? But you can do, what I like to do is I like to get confluence. So I might even do this one. Oh, look at that. We got a 2669 there as well. Let's see what happens when we do this one. This is probably, because that low is higher than that low, that's probably what she's going for. Yeah, way up there. So the point here is, ironically enough, if you actually come and buy this asset here, where do you have to risk to? The answer is the last place that actually people stopped the bear, which is our W. So, I mean, maybe you go against that low, maybe you go against that low. But to justify actually owning this thing there, buying it there, remember, I want to see it like a 2-to-1. I want to make sure I get paid relative to the amount of risk that I have to take. So that means, gee whiz, where the hell do I have to see this thing go? That means I have to comfortably expect this to go up there. I would say there are some really simple tools that we can use. Believe it or not, that's actually not unrealistic considering how high this is. Gee whiz, this thing's come down an awful long way. Looks like we have W'd out on other sides of trend lines. That's good. We also could do things like what's a fib off of this range? Because I think that's probably pretty relevant. There we go. And we could do a fib off of this range. That's probably also relevant. All right, so what do we got here? We have 38.2 off of that bigger range is these old highs. Also notice too, you got a whole bunch of your trapped bulls and trapped bears. There's a bunch of trapped bulls up in these wicks up here. There's the reload short zone of the range. So believe it or not, actually looking for a target up there, it's not out of the question. It's just I wouldn't do that. That's just not me. Also, too, I don't like how we just came into these two foggies. If this is the case, and this thing's got a head of steam on it, we should actually expect this thing to go up to the next foggies. But quite often what ends up happening is you play out these, then it'll have to come back down to the original breakout, then go back up here, and then head up there. And that would be sort of your natural price movement, kind of like how you see this wide swing here. So if I was sort of thinking, okay, how am I going to get into this thing right now? Then what I really want to do is, well, you tell me. If I wanted to buy this and I want to do it professionally, not just some fucking YOLO FOMO. If I wanted to do it professionally, what am I thinking here? Am I going to market buy that? No, that just makes it really simple. Just don't do that. What I should do is I should probably just take a fib off of whatever this high is and draw it back down against the low. And notice there's our original double bottom. And oh, gee whiz, there is the reload zone right in there. So work your stink bids down in here. But don't chase that, folks. You chase that, you're asking for trouble. Now, also, too, hopefully you notice 38.2, first stop target. I am seeing some confluence in here, right? So now we affectionately on this site, we used to call this Ray Burchett in the education program, 38.2. I call it the Ray Burchett level. I used to work with this trader in New York, ran an education program called IDT, Ray Burchett. Anyway, he taught me about 38.2s. We have a really cool site member. I love him dearly, Colin. And he went and made a ton of money over with some venture cap guys. I think you've heard of the Magic Internet Money and all Danny and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, Colin was one of his principal backers, made a ton of money, just insane amounts of money. So congratulations, Colin. But Colin, over on Hero Exchange, I think he does a regular broadcast now. He likes to call this the, well, I don't know whether he does it on the way down, but on the way up, he likes to call it his plump chaser zone. On the way down, I would call this 38.2 to 50%. I call it the dump chaser zone. So we're asking right now whether this is still a bear, just with this dead cat bounce. And now you can see 4669s, 877s, dump chaser zone. You can see this huge wick right up in here. Whole bunch of trap bulls in there would probably love to get released. We're also coming up against original market structure. There's the big M. So now, do you see the confluence of levels? So if anything, what this is telling me is it probably wants to come up into this area. But did you notice the reload zone? It doesn't really move a hell of a lot. So even if we did come up into this area, where you need to buy, where you need to concentrate is still right against this original market structure bottom. That's what I think is going on right now, for whatever it's worth. You can get in here and FOMO this, but you don't know. That might be the top right there. And where do you have to realistically expect this thing? Technically, if this thing does roll over and it starts coming back down, this is all open air, and my hunch is in the next week or two, we'll show you on the screen, oh yeah, gee whiz, look at how it came all the way back down. So anyway, if you did buy that W, way to fucking go. You're a rock star. You know how to do this. If anything, you should start doing YouTube videos. And Fire's like, let it hit my double first, and then we'll let it come back down. And really, I don't see any reason why. That's such a beautiful double bottom there. I don't see any reason why we don't hit that double level. And all these pros that bought the W where they're supposed to buy, they're going to get paid. Anyway, that's kind of fun. But does it make sense that, does that not look like a market that me as a professional, I got to say, well, it looks like it's already been bid up. I've kind of missed the boat. If I really want to buy and I want to be a professional trader, I got to, just like I showed you with Bitcoin, right? Same logic here. Where was that? Oh, I guess maybe it was over here. Same logic, exact same logic as these guys. It's exact same logic. So if I'm Mr. Trader here, take my trade. Once we hit this level right here, I got to ring the register. Am I allowed to come in and buy through this? No fucking way. This is the kids. These are the FOMOers. I have to wait for the consolidation and wait for the next setup, which looks like it just came in. And oh, gee whiz, it's off the same level. Okay, well, that's cool. And then I know a lot of people are like, well, why don't you just buy this? And the answer is, you didn't know that this was going to happen. This thing might have emmed out and headed right back down. You just don't know. So the Digi, I would say, is doing one of these things right now. And if you want to get in, you got to wait for the consolidation. I suppose also, too, if we look at just the general tone, you can see there's quite a bit of green on the screen. A lot of green coming out of little pieces of shit, too. So they always say that the shit always rises last. So be forewarned there, folks. Don't know whether I feel totally comfortable chasing this kind of market here. I think if anything, especially being Sunday, I like the idea of some sort of blow off top here, but I got a feeling this coming week could be a little bit nasty for the stock market. So just, go slowly. Trade your setups exactly like what I showed you with Paul. What my best advice for all of you guys is? My best advice for all of you, every single person, including myself, is put your opinion away. Your opinion doesn't mean anything in this game, including mine. Put your opinions away and just trade the vetted setups and just live with the results, right? And Paul's ETH here, absolutely perfect textbook example of that. Even now, we don't even know what the fuck's going to happen here. Don't know. Trade your setups. Signal comes in, just like his tweet. Got to take the trade, live with the results. Now, at least he can go, okay, I can move my stop to scratch. No big deal. And just live with the results. So, anyway. Hope that was kind of fun. Interesting to see broader market. You can see the interest rate market actually did just hit a bullish objective for me. So I actually like the idea of the stocks topping out and the bonds bottoming out and the stocks rolling over and the bonds rallying, which this moves in the exact opposite of bonds, right? So if we go, how do we do this? I think it's this one. TLT. And we'll put this on a new scale. Left there. So these are the bond prices as yields are going up. Remember, I showed you that long-term interest rate chart. You can see how prices have come down. In fact, I might even consider going and putting some money to work in some bonds just to sort of park it away or squirrel it away. That's not quite ready there yet. I'd like to see actually a buy signal. I'd like to see a sell signal in the stock market before I go and do that. So slow and steady. This is a funny one, if I understand correctly, these guys, they have a whole bunch of work that they are doing. I don't quite understand why these things are it just keeps melting lower and lower and lower. But this is such an interesting analogy of, I like this team. And I like the story. They don't shill it all, but they, theoretically on the like the coin gecko and stuff, they've been saying it. And it's interesting how that chart looks like that. And then if you go, look at, you can see I even had Ubik on here. You go to coin gecko, and the chart looks like that. Gee whiz, that sure does look like a base, eh? So maybe it's time for these kind of names to actually have a day in the sun. I'm very surprised that this name is just completely just not performed. It's fascinating. Also, too, there's a couple other stories that I really liked, like Sis, for example. Oh boy, here it looks like he's getting ready to go. I was wondering why this guy was just sort of floundering. But that guy should take off. Mona! Oh, whatever happened to all our Japanese meme coin people? I mean, that thing's got plenty of money and room to go. Hell, man, it might even be worthwhile for us to. Oh, not quite. Mana still's got some work to do. I've always told you guys, Decred. You'll notice that. Oh, Jesus Christ! Look at that. So this guy, he actually rallied first, and I told you guys this before. He was the very first coin back in 2017. Oh, it doesn't even show here. Back in 2017, 2018, right out of the gate, he was the very first one that went absolutely nuts there in 2017. I remember that specifically. So fascinating to see this son of a bitch is finally. And I've said, if the altcoins are going to rally, this one needs to turn. And you just saw what Digi did there. Interesting how this guy's carving out a W down in here. And you tell me, this guy got any room to move up here? That's a 50% rule. 159. And we're at 63. So a double is all it is just to move back to 38.2. So this is almost identical to Digi. It's almost identical. So I don't know. You tell me whether you want to make some money from trading or not. Now, am I going to endorse the idea of you chasing? Keep in mind, just even this day here, right? At one point, this was a big green candle, right? And if you had drawn your reload zones and you had said, well, Brian, okay, fine. You say I have to buy a reload zones, don't chase and all that crap. Notice that was right in here. So, yeah, at one point, this was a big green dildo. Right, all the way up there, solid green. Oh my God, we're all gonna get stinking rich. Oh, wait a minute. Here, right. At one point, that was all green, and it finished the day all the way down there. So, could Digi, what we saw earlier, be doing exactly the same thing? Don't chase. I do give fire his double first before you crap out. But that could very easily happen to Digi. Notice a reload zone. I'm going to go in here and sneak in, grab some down in here, and now you're feeling pretty good. So, I mean, this reload zone stuff, it works, people. So, FYI. And of course, as I always say, it's one thing to sit and listen to Brian just blabbing away on social media and YouTube and all this stuff. It's quite another to actually do this in practice. So, we do have a couple people that are very, very good at self-education on the YouTube channel. There's one guy, Great Dalmoody, I think we call him. If you can do that, then awesome. I've done my job, right? I do like these, 2-3 hour videos a couple times a week. I mean, you easily can glean enough. But you got to take a lot of notes. You have to be very consistent, very detailed. Or I think, $1,000 these days is nothing. I mean, technically the value of $1,000 just fell in half here over the past couple of years. But for $1,000, we'll take 3 months and we will teach you this step by step by step, slowly but surely. Everything from building a trading plan to identifying who you are and what type of risk taker you are. So that tells us what kind of plan you should be building. Appropriate risk taker. What kind of risk taker are you? Time frame. How much time can you commit to this thing? All that kind of stuff. But as well, is teaching you how to run a small business of trading, we also teach you these fun little technical tidbits that help you sort of identify when is a good place, location, 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 as they say in real estate, when is a good place to actually pull the trigger. And this is a core concept that we teach in our education program. In fact, the level 1 program, I guess we did such a good job. I mean, we're super redundant now, which I really like. But we did such a good job. Like what I do is I often will load up this Sunday class just to see if there's any follow-up questions that maybe the Wookster couldn't answer. But he's getting so good at teaching now. I don't think students have to have too many questions left over because he just answers them all. But the point being that I think we do a very, very good job in teaching people how to actually run these small businesses of trading. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, you can learn about the product and all of the objectives and what we want to do. In fact, actually, I don't know where we've got a page that we put out when we are getting the term up and running, getting the school up and running, that has all our testimonials and all. Actually, a testimonial page, I guess, this year. Absolutely love this kind of talk. So, just let the people themselves tell you what they think of the program. So maybe consider, in fact, I was doing a video, I think a week or two ago, and somebody's like, oh man, I can't wait to start. So there's already people starting to sign up for the spring term. And my suggestion to you is, if you really want to do this like a pro and you want to get serious about this, just get your butt in the education program. We have a lot of people that take the level 1 and are like, okay, now I got to digest this. And then they come back a year or so later, they're ready to move on. And that's fine. You want to learn at your own pace and trade at your own pace. Little old ladies coming out of level 1 is perfectly acceptable. Those people that want to, I can't tell you what the hell the prices of crap are going to be in the future. I just can't tell you. But for those people that want to lock in and make sure that you can take the whole program, we do offer some packages that are at slight discounts. So consider that as well. Although I don't really see anything sort of to that effect here. So I'm not quite sure. I guess if you are interested, like, I wouldn't mind being able to show you that page, but I'm not quite sure where it went. So, school, maybe this is it. All right. Anyway, when the full marketing shill comes up, trust me, I'll be more than happy to send you to that page. It's a great page that our guys put together with lots of videos and stuff on what an awesome job we do. I thought it was, could have sworn that we already had it all up and running here, though. I must be missing something here. So anyway. Okay, I guess what I want to, it's not really that much of a sales pitch, but I just want to convey the idea that it's tough to do this on your own. I think for the price point that we charge, I think it's a fair sort of value proposition. And it's a community environment. The process of running a small business of trading effectively, it doesn't change. It never changes. The process back when WD Gann was around is exactly the same as the process is today. Identical. The process of speculating on cuckoo forwards and futures prices in 16th century Japan is exactly the same as the process is today. No difference. Nothing changes. So if you need help getting that process down, that's exactly what our bread and butter is. I think we do a really, really good job at that. Add in, now we're actually starting to incorporate tools that I think will become essential for traders to have a really good look, including things like the breadth indicator and leaderboards, and of course screener results. I love key reversals. histogram. I mean, there's just so many things. We got lots and lots of videos and tutorials to do. We're just right now just still building the process out of filling out these screeners and getting it to the point where I think it's like a marketable product and something that I can actually teach off of. We're almost there. Still just need a little bit more polishing, but that's good. On balance, I like the direction that the website is going. I think we now actually have a marketable product that I think traders will find a lot of value in. I mean, you look at that S&P 500, you look at this histogram, everything here should be saying, whoa, you know what? I better cool my jets. There was an awesome buying window there for trading purposes about a week or two ago, maybe a month or so ago. In general, like, you all traded through that crypto bottom there. So I think the information here was incredibly valuable. So anyway, it's our job over the next 6-8 months just to show you how awesome this is. So, and I'll be more than happy to do that for you. Okay, so I don't know whether there's really a hell of a lot else for me to say here today. I got to head off and give my son an awesome afternoon. That's my number one job. So if you could all wish me good luck and good karma. Really, if anything, all I wish is you send out karmic waves. Liam, just enjoy yourself. Be happy. Everything will be all right. You just think those kind of thoughts. It makes a world of difference when I ask you guys to help. So trust the universe. There you go. Thank you, Evo. All right, everybody. Since there weren't any BCS questions, I think we'll just probably leave it at that. I sure hope you enjoyed the rant. I mean, I was off on 20 different tangents. I'm very proud of the work that TRIers are doing. Very proud of TRIers. And immensely grateful for all of the incredible gifts the universe has given me and Liam. In exchange for the work that I've done for you guys, I don't know. I don't think a lot of the stuff that has happened in my life would have happened if I was very self-centered and not as generous as I am. So I think that there is a karmic trade-off. So thank you, everybody. I could do all my appreciations, or way more than 3, but bottom line is I'm immensely grateful for all of you. So thank you very much, and God bless. PMA for the win. And I suppose, Chris, if you can take us on out of here. Oh, one other thing I need to mention. Actually, it's good that I thought about this before we went. I cold bailed. Sjord mentioned that if you do DeFi, it's a critical that you update your Brave and your Google Chrome here if you do the DeFi stuff. I'm not really that big on the whole DeFi stuff, so I'm not really that smart at it. If anything, this is a great sales pitch for you to come on in. If you're not a member of TRI, but come on in and do maybe the 30-day trial. Sjord will come on the call tomorrow and probably walk us through. But if I understand correctly, it's imperative that you guys update your Google Chrome and your Google Browser. I guess that's something to do with that crypto.com. That's not the same thing. But I did notice that I don't know where it was, but Sjord was saying earlier that it's critical that everybody update their browser. I don't know where the hell it is. But anyway, so if you want to come in and listen to TRI CTO, he's smarter than a fucking whip. Feel free to pop into the site tomorrow, and maybe he'll give us an explanation. But it sounds to me like you have to update your Brave and your Chrome ASAP if you do the DeFi thing, because I think there's some sort of vulnerability. So on top of wishing Liam and I an awesome afternoon, get in there and make sure you update your Chrome and your Brave and all your secret passwords and all that kind of fun stuff, so you don't have your coins stolen from you. All right, everybody. PMA for the win. Chris, if you could take us on out here, I'd appreciate it. The only thing left for Brian to say at this point is bye.